I have come to the conclusion that I am a different species of creature. I should probably have been born as some beast like a mountain cat. But something went wrong and I ended up being born in the shape of a human.
I think first question, did you enjoy the film? Okay.
Did you not enjoy the film?
Did anyone not enjoy it? Just to begin with, we mentioned at the beginning that the story was based on a novel, and specifically a Japanese novel. So how did the film evolve from being a Japanese novel into a film that was co-produced with Japan, Ireland, Luxembourg and Holland?
How did that happen? The Irish producers were in Cannes. I don't know what happens. Producers go to Cannes, they obviously meet people and read lots of different things. And they came back and well, the first I heard of it was, I work with a producer in my own company, and he was friends with these guys, and he said, Fastnet Films want to talk to you about this treatment by the guy who wrote The Grudge. And I went, oh, okay, yeah, that sounds really good. He didn't write The Grudge, he wrote the novelisation of The Grudge. But that got me interested, and he also said to me it's about necrophilia. And, you know, normally that would turn... normally one is, why did they think of me? And secondly is, really, like, why would you even be interested in something like that? And I don't know, I've always been interested in challenging material, so I just went, yeah, all those things sound interesting. And then, of course, I read the treatment, and it wasn't just me, it was the Irish Film Board, it was everybody who was involved who read it, saw something in it that sounded, something in it seemed, I can't actually explain it, there was something in it about the character. It wasn't a horror film, there was something in it that we all looked at, and they probably thought there was going to be a different film, but everybody in their own way looked at it and went, this could be good. So, and the same, I did the same, and so I made what I thought, well, it's changed since we started, so it was one of those things where everyone had their own ideas of how this could be good.
And one thing, given the topic, Ian's behaviour at times, I mean, it can be considered quite creepy.
Autistic.
Yeah, there's some of the things, especially going through the bins, kind of taking her rubbish, that sort of thing. And yet, throughout the film, you actually managed to play him as actually quite a sympathetic character. Very non-judgmental. At no point are you kind of encouraged to see him as either really the good guy or the bad guy. It's just someone who is kind of struggling with his own understanding of kind of where he belongs in the world. And I think that in itself it was kind of very courageous thing to do, to not kind of judge Guy for being someone who is in love with the dead, but to also kind of show his journey. I mean, was that always the intention, to try and be non-judgmental and fairly sympathetic with the character?
Well, I mean, it depends on your outlook. Like, you could watch that and think, you know, if the Sun or the Daily Mail report on him, just imagine the headlines that you're going to get, you know. But even watching the film, you may have different views on what, you know. So when you're saying that, yes, as a filmmaker, I approached it like that. I am interested, that's one thing I'm interested in. Like, I grew up with a father and who was how do I say this? Well, he was, I don't know if he still is, but he was pro-death penalty, and he was like, people who, are on the dole, they should work, they should, this sort of attitude, a very right-wing attitude, to be honest with you. And I remember, anyway, as you grow up, you start to go through different journeys and different things. And I remember my very first communications course doing a documentary on Amnesty International. And it was just simple things like seeing a picture of someone being hung, but they're struggling. And they're trying. And I remember, anyway, changing my mind about the death penalty. Not that I had a mind made up. And these days I see people very, especially on social media, more so, or on news sites, and people are they're mad. They're like, they want cut their balls off. There's a lot of sort of, I don't know if it's just talk, but there's no real sort of, and I'm not saying like bad people shouldn't be controlled. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of hysteria out there, and in a way, part of me likes challenging that and maybe nearly sticking like, I don't know what it is. It's nearly like, part of me is like is mischievous, like, and it's nearly like poking a stick in a bee's nest, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing which I hope the film will do as it goes on and continues its journey around the festivals and hopefully with distribution, is that it will challenge people's kind of preconceptions and ideas about, you know, some of the things that are touched on in the film.
Yeah, good and bad, good and evil. Sorry, right and wrong, good and bad. Yeah.
I think one of the other reasons why the film is a success is down to the casting. You have a fantastic pairing between the two lead actors. It's also kind of curious that the lead that plays Ian isn't English, or he's Scandinavian.
He's Dutch.
Dutch. Pollyanna McIntosh is obviously English. Scottish. I nearly said English. And even with the setting, I mean, with the car that he drives, with it being left-hand drive, it kind of feels slightly displaced. It's hard to kind of put a point into, you know, where it's meant to be shot. It feels very European as well. Was that intentional to try and take it out of any place in particular?
Well, yeah. I always saw it like a fairy tale, like it was that sort of fairy tale land. It doesn't really matter where it is. And I think from the start we tried to do that, and I mean it's obvious we did that, because whether we shot, it was Luxembourg and Ireland, 3 weeks Luxembourg, 3 weeks Ireland, and we just decided, let's, for no particular reason, except for most of the driving was on in Luxembourg, so we just went, let's go left-hand side of the road. But it was really, I mean, the Japanese novel was this beautiful house on the top of a hill overlooking the sea, the woods. It was fairy tale the whole way. And to me, it didn't get in the way. In fact, it helped the story, because to ground it, and it tied into even the camera moves and everything. It was nearly like to make this social realism was not, to me anyway, maybe you could. It's possible, it'd be very interesting to see it made that way. But to me, I looked at it and went, it sort of needs to be made in a nearly stylistic way, is how I thought.
And casting Pollyanna,
Yeah.
I mean, I think she plays the role with such poignancy. It's very reserved, the performance that she gives, but you get a real sense of pathos, the feeling, the emotions, the absolute emotional turmoil that she's going through following the death of the child. How difficult was it to bring Pollyanna on board? Was she someone that you were actually thinking of at the beginning of the casting?
Well, no, Pollyanna knows this. We met with Charlotte Gainsbourg at one stage. She was interested in doing it, and would have been a very different film with her. But what happened was we were looking at different people, and after Charlotte Gainsbourg, couldn't do it, and we got Pollyanna sent in a tape basically, and once I saw the tape, that was it. It was just one of these. I mean, like directors say this all the time, but the minute I saw it on my computer and I saw her playing it, I just went, "Oh, that's brilliant."
One of the other kind of recurring things throughout the film is the use of symbols and patterns. I love the bit at the beginning where he starts to draw on the wall, and obviously it helps to show the passing of time. But that mural that he draws has become the image for the poster for the film. But you also have the shell that he finds on the beach with the circular pattern, and there's quite a lot of imagery of the of space and looking at. Was that intentional to you? Was the symbolism there for a reason?
Well, look, the script went through loads of phases, and we had it was a serial killer script at one stage, and I wasn't happy with that, and I was trying and took one draft where I was reading Stephen Hawking's book about the universe, and I went, I don't know, something about it just clicked, and I went, this is what I'm trying to talk about. So it just informed the whole thing, this idea of, I mean, I've always been interested in fractals, and my brother is a photographer who takes, he takes photographs of nature, you know, in macro. So, but there is something amazing about that, about macro photographs, about fractals, the way they, I even saw something the other day and I've forgotten what it is, but it was something that looked like a tree, but it was smoke. Anyway, the point is that everything seems to be connected. And, you know, I lost my faith when I was brought up as a Catholic in Ireland, and I lost my faith at, I don't know, whatever age. Then you're sort of left without something for a while, and there's something nice about thinking about the universe, and instead of feeling like small, and there was a line in the film at one stage where the character went, the doctor asked him, why won't you leave your room? And he said, we're all insects. What we think defines us, emotions, consciousness, communication. When seen from afar, is just a noisy clacking of insect wings. So it was like his negative view of life. He's just tiny. And Pollyanna's view when he meets her was that the exact same, except for she finds this connection in the opposite way. So that was really, like, I suppose, where those patterns come into it.
And I think that the great thing about the ending, certainly the way I interpret it, is that both of them have actually helped each other in their pain, and they are both in a position where they're kind of starting.
And I like that, because, you know, we nearly ended on a film where he had a third body, or a third grave, and another woman in the room, and he was putting sleeping pills in her tea, and she was going, what are those out there? In the book. This is exactly in the book. And he says, oh, they're the women I've buried in the garden. And she goes, oh, okay. So it's like pure serial killer ending.
I prefer this one.
Yeah, well, so do I.
Okay. I know that it actually was a very difficult post-production process as well. You were saying earlier when we were talking that originally you had a much longer edit as well. And
we cut out characters, whole subplots.
Yeah. So are you ultimately happy with the version that's on screen?
Yeah. I mean, like, some of the stuff we cut out, I think might have ruined the film, to be honest with you. It's, you know, you don't have much money and you try, you're ambitious, and then afterwards you go, ooh, because you don't have enough money or whatever, and just enough time to think things through. Some things are stupid. You've got to be honest, you know. So yeah, no, I'm happy with it now. I think it's, yeah, I'm proud of it. Yeah.
And do you think there'll ever come a point where you can sit in and watch it with an audience?
Watch it with an audience. Yeah, I have never watched this film with an audience. I don't know, is it because it's personal? I don't know what it is. It's like my first film, I could sit and it was a horrifying film. I used to sit there and enjoy watching the audience squirm at the end scene of my last film. And I can't watch this film with an audience now. I don't know. I think it's one of these things that's an ongoing thing. You don't understand. It's I never understood it until now. My first film was easy, and this has been a personal sort of journey, and it's been tough. It's something I can't explain, and I can't sit and watch it with an audience.
I really enjoyed Savage.
It's very different.
And it is very different, but I think there's another level of maturity to this. I mean, would you say between the two films you feel like you've, I hate to use this phrase because it sounds really cheesy, but do you think you've grown as a filmmaker?
Depends now. What I make next will answer that question. I think, yeah, you know, I've had a child as well since in the middle of making this, and it's, I don't know, I mean, I'm still interested in transgressive subjects, is probably what the best term for it, and I'll probably do that till the day I die, you know.
I am a defective human being.